So we're gonna turn it on.
Yeah, once we're live, we'll do the checks.
How you doing today, Chris?
King Biscuit Power Hour.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
All right. Operating on 3 hours of sleep.
Check.
Coffee, lickies, and chewies ready.
Check.
Bearded nomadic warrior on the line, one each.
Radio Lima Charlie.
Check. We are good to go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Heart of the Volunteer, a Veterans Podcast, Episode 6, J.D. Wheeler, Defined by Service. I'm Joshua Fisher, your host, joined, as always, by Chris.
Hey.
How you doing today, Chris?
Doing excellent, brother.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thank you for the introduction. I like that.
Well, man, you're a big part of this show.
And as are you.
50% of it. So,
I'm like 25% this morning, but anyway.
we need to throw out some thanks.
We do.
Yeah, you want to throw out some thanks?
You know, I would, once again, I just like to thank the media department because they're really, putting their neck out for us. Not only, we've been getting the booth, but we've been, we got hit up by the journalism department. One of their seniors did their capstone paper on us as an article. We did that interview on Wednesday, right? Something like that.
Yes.
Wednesday.
Yes, it was Wednesday.
And, of course, we have another one after the show with the arts and sciences. So, I just want to thank everybody just for, here on campus for getting the word out and helping us get the word out by, allowing us to speak and just get our, our purpose out there.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I want to hit on our purpose. A brief rundown is we want to extend a invitation to all veterans, all walks of life, to come onto our show. It's important that we get your story, and you come be a part of this process. It's a big portion of if we can get you to come and share your story, it could potentially help somebody else who may be struggling or who may need some guidance or just may want to, kind of look back and be like, oh, man, I remember doing some stuff like that. So far, we've had some really good experiences, and we want to continue that, and we want to bring on as many veterans, and we want to hear your story. The people want to hear your story. So hit us up on Facebook. If you know us personally, send us text messages, call us, get your story ready, all right? And because when we call, we're going to be asking, be like, hey, you ready? Are you ready to get your story out? So start thinking about it. Another thing we wanted to cover is we're coming up on Mental Health Week, and I have dates. The dates are April 1st through April 4th. And they're going to have a slew of events going on here at Oklahoma State University. It's brought on by the Student Government Association. They've been doing a lot of work when it comes to trying to bring awareness about mental health. And me and Chris are going to be doing Heart of the Volunteer on Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Student Union Ballroom. So it's
Breakout session.
yeah, it's going to be a breakout session. It's going to be fun.
Yep, it's going to be a good time.
You got anything else to add, Chris?
I don't, other than the fact that I'm ready to get this show on. We skipped a week. Now it's we're back from spring break. Went out to Seattle, had some engagement with some veterans like you were talking about. So hopefully we get some veterans from out there on that side call in, and we'll get them interviewed. We've been stacking up bodies here kind of at the door, waiting, chomping at the bit to get the stories out. So it's we may have to hire a technician or something so we can make it smoother and faster.
I know, right? We might need to look for somebody.
Grad
So,
student.
hey, there you go.
Yeah, you're a grad student out there and you need some extra grades, come and see us. Sona credits.
We will do our dangest to try to help you out if you're helping us out. So we're going to jump off here, and you guys have a lovely and safe Friday, Facebook world, and we'll be posting the episode after this.
Make sure you share this episode, folks. Share it as wide, very wide dissemination, as wide as you can possibly get it. Share it until people tell you not to share it. That's how it works.
All right. Well, y'all have a good day.
Anybody can be great because anybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and your verb agree to serve. You don't have to know the second theory of thermodynamics and physics to serve. You only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. This show is all about the volunteer, service, the individual that bands together with others to make the impossible happen. When I think about this amazing element of the human experience, well, I can't help but think about the many veterans that are out there, but also of those that are close to me and have impacted close to home. My Uncle George has been a volunteer firefighter in what is basically my hometown since I was a kid. Over the last few years, that area has been badly burned, notably by the Starbucks fire of 2017. That burned an estimated 800,000 acres across Kansas and Oklahoma. The firefighting crews from all over the area arrived to assist. The loss of cattle and grazing area was devastating. But from all over the country, a steady supply of trucks arrived bringing needed hay, steel fence posts, wire, and most of all, kind, hopeful smiles, hugs, and new friendships that helped everyone make it through the tough times ahead. Volunteers leaned forward to save lives, livelihoods, and stranded strangers. Volunteers exhausted their own resources, traveling thousands of miles to help a neighbor those states away. I share this info to highlight the fact that service comes in many forms, the volunteers. I am constantly inspired by these volunteers, never allowing them to go unrecognized. Take the time to get your arms around the men and women in your life that make service a cornerstone of their character. We are happy to have as our veteran guest today John David Wheeler, or JD as he's known among friends, and in far-flung places around the globe. JD is no stranger to volunteering and making an impact on locations far from home and in his own backyard. Brought up with service, literally stitched into his DNA, he has committed his life to serving something bigger than himself. JD was one of my men, who is now a cherished friend and an inspiration to a great many grateful people. JD, welcome to Heart of a Volunteer Veterans Podcast.
Thank you for having me. How are you?
Fantastic. How are you doing, JD?
I'm doing well. Thanks again for having me. This is quite the honor. I'm quite taken aback in many ways. It's a fantastic monologue, Chris. I don't know if you mentioned it, but I'm currently living and working in Memphis, so particularly apropos for me at least.
Well, heck yeah. I'm looking over here at your magnificent beard there, good sir.
Thank you, man.
Have you seen this thing? It is amazing.
Oh, yeah, it's the bearded nomad.
Yeah, this is version 2.0, I believe. Requires a whole pit crew, just many hours and days of research on creams and balms and oils and such. But thank you. Too kind.
I bet the maintenance on that thing is, time consuming.
Well, it's either a nightmare or you just don't worry about it.
Hey, screenshot that so we can put that picture on Facebook. Hey, JD, do you mind if I share the picture from when you came to visit? When you came to Stillwater, and we were there at the kitchen bar. Yeah, I'm gonna share that, man. That was a good time.
Yeah. I think I've actually had to shave the beard since then.
You have?
I got a bad beard trim. I had to start from ground zero again. But it just kind of does it on its own, more or less. So it's all right.
It gets sad whenever you gotta
trim it down. Hey, I don't want to hear you guys talk about that stuff because
sorry.
What takes me like 9 months to grow all of you guys to include our veteran guests that's in the booth that we'll probably be talking here a little bit when we start doing the runaway gun, but I cannot grow anything at all. Nothing.
You'd be like
So,
Patches O'Houlihan over here.
Yeah, it's terrible, man.
You've
It
always
is
had a
terrible.
dope haircut, though, man.
What's that?
You've always had a dope haircut, though. I mean, you know how to work what you got.
Well, I learned how to cut my hair myself a long time ago. So the four fingers of death was a good haircut as for a platoon sergeant of an infantry platoon. So it was awesome. Well, hey JD, let's introduce yourself to everybody. Kind of give them where you're from, and kind of what's mixed into you to make you from the beginning of of who you are today.
All right. I'd love to jump in. I'd love to talk about where I'm from and all that. But I actually kind of like to start with where I'm at right now. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm living and working in Memphis, Tennessee, with an organization called Leadership Memphis. I'm in AmeriCorps Vista, which means it's a one-year gig in which I have a set defined project. And how I got here, I guess, is kind of why you had me on here. And I very much appreciate the opportunity to kind of tell my story to somebody, at least.
Yeah, of course, man, of course.
Anyway, but I'm originally from Union City, Tennessee, which is a town about 2 hours north of Memphis, the northwest corner of Tennessee. It looks like we dropped a call. Shall I call you back, or?
No, don't worry about the video. Don't worry about it. We're good to go. We're gonna keep rocking.
We'll figure it out.
We've seen you before.
Cool.
You're ugly. We got it.
All right. Like I said, originally from Union City, Tennessee. It's a small town about 2 hours north of Memphis. Born and raised there. Both my parents were teachers. They taught at the local school system. Mom was the local librarian. And they were of the baby boom generation, and they really, at least the way they told me, is that they considered public service to be the ideal lifestyle choice. That service is it's not just something you do to kind of get your feet wet, figuring out which way the world turns. It's a lifestyle choice, one that you carry with you till the end. And of course, as a cynical kid, did all kinds of things to rebel, but a little bit of that did stick, and enough of it that to propel me, at least made me open to the idea of the armed forces. Originally, it was actually a National Geographic documentary on the Marines that got me interested, that really kind of captivated me. But then as I started actually reading books, and I would bump into the odd veteran throughout my high school career, I kind of settled on the Army as the actual branch that I wanted to enlist in. And there's actually there was a series of books, 3 books called Six Silent Men, each by a different author, but all about long-range reconnaissance patrols in Vietnam. Yeah. I mean, it was just like I've never encountered a story of like braver people who undertook that with such matter-of-fact attitude. And it's kind of the combination of the two that really resonated with me. And these were LERPs with the 101st Airborne. What's that now?
I said Hua?
But on every mission that they went on was just, it was terrifying to read about. It was kind of really pushed the limits of my understanding and comprehension of what people could do or have done. And they kind of prided themselves on not being very showy about their pride of having a quiet professionalism, which is an expression that is associated with special forces quite a bit. But I think there's a small element of it that has kind of seeped through the rest of the Army, which I appreciate. But kind of read books like that all throughout high school. Then once I graduated, it came time to actually enlist. And I talked to a recruiter over my senior year of high school, and yeah, he was a fine recruiter, I guess, a gentleman named Sergeant Stokes. But no, I don't really. And even 10 plus years of retrospect, like I still like. He's a fine guy. He's all right. He could have been worse. But anyway, he actually talked me into an 18 X-ray contract, which memory serves at the time was a somewhat new program where they take recruits and convince them to sign a contract where they'll take them through basic training, infantry, AIT, airborne school, and then to Fort Bragg for a land navigation course, which was to prepare us for the selection course. I watched out during the land navigation course. I just don't think I was cut out for it, or I don't think I had anything to contribute.
Hey JD, when you did that, did they put you through like a class and everything and teach you the advanced land navigation there?
I mean, like yes and no. Like part of it was I would describe it. I would split it into two main components. One is land navigation. I don't want to say if it was advanced or basic, but it was I guess basic really. But it was I thought they really made an honest effort and did a good job of actually trying to teach us and demonstrating the techniques and how they should be done properly. And the other half of it is just kind of making it as unpleasant as possible.
Right.
Outside of the classroom, the classroom was it was very academic, very strict kind of classroom environment. Go from there to kind of a high pressure, kind of get yelled at a lot, and then to kind of alone in the woods, kind of walking around trying to find your way.
Right.
Combination of that was way too much for me. I dropped out of the program and went needs of the Army, and that's how I ended up in Schofield Barracks, Hawaii, with Alpha Company 235 Third Platoon Spartan, with yourself.
Who? With who? With Josh?
What, me?
What's that now?
I've never been to Hawaii.
Oh.
Yeah, you, Chris. But yeah, and I mean, I'm actually a little curious about your kind of recollections of this period, kind of help my own. I mean, I spent a whole lot of time kind of trying to mentally disconnect from the Army and, I don't know, be a 19-year-old or 20-year-old.
That's what you were? You were disconnected from it? Are you saying that the pace was fast and you just can't remember? Because I have problems with that too. If the pace got too fast and it was just a blur, like all I got was like NTC and then deployed, and then
now,
that kind of business.
What was the training grounds on the Big Island? PTA?
PTA, Pakaloa training area. Yeah, Pakaloa.
Yeah, I got to Hawaii when y'all were just coming back from that, or the unit was just coming back from that.
Yeah, I was at
ACOG. No, ANOC.
Yeah, I was either at ANOC or I think I was at ANOC because I just come back from Pathfinder School.
ANOC. Could you please?
That's the old advanced non-commissioned officer course.
So that is for your E6 to E7s?
Yeah, platoon sergeant type business, yeah.
But I don't just kind of talk a little bit about my character as a soldier because I don't know. I mean, I kind of want to be honest about it. I was 19 I was 19 to 21, more or less, when I was enlisted. Uh, I, and I definitely underestimated how much I would miss or would lament not having, I don't know, kind of a young adult, unsupervised, blameless life. So I kind of chafed at being a soldier in that way, I think.
And I think
But go ahead, please.
I think some soldiers fall into that trap because you join at such a young age, and you know, it's like the military is so structured, and it's like you will do this. I mean, it encompasses your entire life,
Hmm.
and you know, it's like you're going to do what the army needs you to do, regardless. And
Yeah,
to
I think it was that. I think it's kind of looking back on that. And when I did get out, uh, I did look back and kind of think, oh man, I maybe could have done all of this better. And that, much less so now, but definitely college and post college, that was a big motivator for me to try AmeriCorps and Peace Corps. Um, and I would say it's also kind of what gave me the sense of obligation to um, study international studies, as silly as that may sound. But it's kind of an obligation to understand the world that I just kind of just extricated myself from, and found myself wanting to understand more.
Now, JD, can you kind of give us a picture of what it was like whenever you made that transition into soldier to going to school?
Oh, so yeah, it was, I would say, very confusing. Maybe difficult. But the kind of headspace I was in when I left the Army, I really, I don't know, felt like I had it all figured out. Like, I figured it out now. I'm going to get out of the Army. I'm going to make my own way, and it's going to be fucking dope, and it's going to be easy. And uh, when I did get out of the Army, was kind of at the climax of the 2008 financial crisis. So uh, I don't know. I was kind of coming out all cocksure and not had no idea the world I was walking into. And you know, every door didn't open for me. You know, everyone wasn't lining up to shake my hand. Uh, and I had all this GI Bill money for college, and so I was like, well, college kind of seems like the logical step. And I went to the college that was closest. It was the one my parents went to, and it was, also there was a lady going there that I had a crush on, who also happened to be working at Walmart at the same time I was.
Okay, so now you're doing the private thing you were talking about in Hawaii, just chasing craziness.
Uh-huh.
How now? Here's my question for you, because I absolutely loved Hawaii. I was there for 5 years. You know,
Pretty cool.
the Ohana there was amazing. If as long as you weren't deployed or training, you know, on CONUS, NTC or DRTC, it was an amazing place. Tell some of us about some of that, some of your favorite places, some of your buddies.
Oh yeah.
Paint that picture for us, because it's a that.
Yeah, and so I guess the first like real close friend I made in Hawaii was Roy Garcia, who did happen to be at Fort Bragg at the same time as me, but we somehow never met each other. But when we met in Hawaii, we just kind of clicked, got along. Yeah, I had best friends in the Army in Hawaii. And then as we kind of figured out the lay of the land and who's who, we started, I guess, Zeb Kraft. Kraft, we started hanging out with him because, I mean, he's a cool dude and funny. but he also had a truck.
Right.
And we did go on off-base excursions with him, and have a great time. Mostly we went to the movie theater and Fun Factory in Mililani. I think it was Mililani, but they had a movie theater and a arcade where you get tickets and buy stuffed animals and whatnot right next to each other, and we did that. And that was like our weekend routine, Fridays and or Saturdays, and then Garcia, and then after a bit, Josh Floyd and Andrew Reinfleisch, we kind of became a clique, and then Reinfleisch, Floyd, Garcia, and myself, we would usually end up back at the barracks on the back lanai drinking beers, listening to music.
Dude, that back lanai was awesome.
What's the back lanai? I was never in
A
Hawaii.
lanai in Hawaii is basically your porch.
Okay.
If you have, it could be a patio, or that's your lanai. And it's, I mean, and the thing is, they take pride in their lanais. I mean, every time you get on one, you're seeing something beautiful. It's relaxing. It's very serene. It's a great place to just hang out, drink beer, take a nap. It's amazing. It's a good time. Yeah.
What I loved about Hawaii was how indoors and outdoors seemed to blend so seamlessly. That blew my mind. As a young guy. But yeah, like the back lanai is kind of the iconic as far as my barracks days.
Hey, did you guys ever go over there to the Lakeside Lanai, that bar over at Kimu Farms?
Oh, Kimu's.
Yeah.
See, I didn't turn 21 until deployment. So before deployment, I was under 21. So I didn't go to any of the bars. Like,
yeah.
All my
if you
drinks
say so.
done on the back lanai.
If you say so. There's no UCMJ now.
I was an MP, man, but that doesn't apply anymore.
Well, I'm a nervous guy. I was a nervous young man. I wasn't about to fuck with UCMJ.
You're a good soldier.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well,
he followed the rules. He did it right.
I mean, I couldn't carry too much, but I wasn't going to get any Article 15. But yeah, Hawaii was. I mean, I feel like I definitely enjoyed like the nightlife, and I definitely enjoyed that post deployment. I mean, I could get into all the places, and I don't know, just get up deployment, and how that goes.
Yeah. So JD, tell us about your deployment. Where you went, and just just freely, man. Whatever you want to talk about, and we'll talk about that too, because we love the deployment aspect as much as it twisted and turned us. It definitely made us who we are. So we like to talk about it too.
Yeah, definitely, man. So it was Operation Iraqi Freedom 5 to Bob Warrior outside of Kirkuk, Iraq. If I say something, or if my memory is a little off, or please step in. But we got to Fob Warrior, and we were there for like just a couple of weeks before we got sent to Fob Bernstein, that little bitty base.
No, I think we went.
I don't even know which direction that would be from.
South.
Warrior.
It was south.
Okay.
It was south of Kirkuk. Yeah.
And the Fob Bernstein was definitely like the halcyon days of the deployment, because I don't know, it was easy. I mean, it was just the Spartans and some cooks and a couple mechanics with a little haji shop. But yeah, I mean, we had a couple of quick reaction force missions. One of them, someone threw a rock at me, but other than that, I remember that being
Those little
pretty
assholes.
chill. Yeah.
I remember, I remember the because it was an old Iraqi airfield, and so it had
Okay.
the bunkers for all their munitions. It had some of the jet bunkers that were kind of destroyed. But remember all the rain, like the space we had for live fires that we ran out there.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It was
That's
nuts,
right.
man. I mean, the amount of ammo that we had, and I would say that, I mean, we definitely stepped up our training, live fire training there at Bernstein. Um, you know, more so than what we ever would have done back on the island, which was definitely nice.
Yeah, that's right.
I think
I remember that now. I kind of forgotten actually.
I think
But yeah, well, I think we spent, I don't know, 6 weeks there, maybe around a month. Then it was back to Bob Warrior, and that's when we moved into the company area and actually, I don't know, back in the fold of the larger company, which has its goods and bads. Uh,
Well, when I think
but
when I think about the Bernstein time, it was. I remember getting the call that we were coming back down. Because the battalion and brigade they were fighting, to get us
uh-huh.
back up with the battalion and with the brigade. And then when I want to say, and I'd have to get with the old company commander to confirm this, but I want to say that when Lieutenant Ocho got that V bed went off
Yeah.
in Kirkuk, that was like
Yep.
that. I think that's where they were like, hey, the scouts are going into the city. They put a couple of platoons in the city, and that pulled combat power
Yeah.
from the battalion and the brigade. So having us back down back up into the battalion and brigade's battle space was key.
Uh-huh.
So
All
that's
right.
kind of at that level, that's kind of the forcing function that kind of created that, pulling us from Bernstein up to Kirkuk, and then
Yeah.
taking over that, south of Kirkuk and the Clemson
I hear
area.
you.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, and then so I guess it was maybe a month or so after that Doria died, which I mean, uh, I don't know. I mean, to call that event traumatic would be the understatement of my life. Yeah, he was my squad leader. I thought he was about the coolest human being that ever did walk the earth. Uh, I mean, we spent hours in the truck together, like stuck out in an outpost overnight. Or there was that one time there's like 3 wreckers in a row got stuck in a mud pit. We had to stay out, on a cordon. Yeah, we got to know each other. I mean, I love that guy. But yeah, when he got shot, man, that was a turning point. Yeah, after that, it was definitely it was definitely a matter of just kind of getting through the days and not thinking about, not thinking as little as possible about anything, any of it.
Right.
And then, which a lot of that involves smoking cigarettes, watching movies, daydreaming, and then I don't know, it's 8 months or so, at least half a year, when Lieutenant Walkup, stepson of mine, died.
Yeah.
I wasn't there. I wasn't out for that one, but still, that one hurt. I mean, Walkup he was cool with everybody, but he was also from Tennessee, so I don't know. I kind of thought that made me a little bit cooler by proxy. But it fucking hurt when he died. But then, and then a month later, I had a heat stroke and was medevac to Germany, and that was my deployment. I mean, I've definitely kind of spent more time to feel okay with, kind of whining that it was anticlimactic or I don't know. But anyway, but that was the deployment, and between the deployment and college was basically just a period of, I don't know, figuring out which way the world turned, or figuring out which way I needed to go.
Hey, JD,
Hmm.
you know, piggybacking off what you're talking about, the books that you read before, that kind of forms your idea to join. Um, After your deployment, how do you relate to the author as far as like that calm view of warfare that they had? Did you find
Uh,
understanding in that after you had gone through it?
uh, I think I felt like I understood it better. To kind of answer your question a little indirectly, there's an expression or a quote about reading history is that you read it and you read it accepting that you're not going to get all of it. Some of it's just not going to stick. Some of it's not going to make sense. Some of it's just going to seem like a bit out there.
Right.
In retrospect, some of those blank areas kind of filled in. Like something that I may have remembered because I didn't understand or just, I don't know, for happenstance, kind of look back and like, okay, that's what he's talking about. Um, like, just kind of pick a concept. The idea of a warrior's death is a concept that's very easy to romanticize and distort and, I don't know, get wrong. But there is, I don't know, there is something about being in war and knowing somebody, getting close to them, and then seeing them die a warrior's death that just alters your worldview in ways that I'm not sure I'm really apt at explaining, but it's something I've definitely felt. It's a phenomenon that I think is, it leaves an impression. And it leaves an impression on anyone who witnesses it.
Yeah, exactly. I always, JD, I always think of, the military unit. You're it's so tight. It's such a tight, and the smaller it gets, the tighter it gets. You know what I'm saying? Teams are tight,
Yeah.
squads are tight, platoons, and the smaller, the tighter. And the thing is, when you join those kind of groups, especially in the military where it's so, the characters are so, extreme left and extreme right. They're all over the place. That you
Yeah.
have, you're forced. If you want to be a part, you're kind of forced into it. You know what I'm saying? But
Now,
with that, you start to get like this. It's a brotherhood that just develops, and it's and you trust the people to your left and your right. You know what I mean? And they're the ones that keep you alive. I always tell everybody, we train, we give you a rifle and train you to shoot it, not for you, but so you can lay down,
yeah.
good fire for the guy to your left and your right, and so he or she can move and do the same for you. So it's amazing how just through that, close proximity and shared experiences, especially hardships, draws people so close together.
And now, I feel like that's kind of what kind of drew me back into volunteerism. Is the idea that I would only get to experience that once in my life, and it would happen at the beginning, was it was a pill that was way too hard for me to swallow. Like I just couldn't accept that like only once would I ever get to be a part of a team of intelligent, hardworking, motivated individuals who understood the goal that we were all going for. And kind of seeking that out, and also a bit of feeling obligated for having known men like Frank Walkup and Rich Doria, that I did feel some obligation or draw or push or pull to take the oath of service again in one form or the other, be it AmeriCorps or Peace Corps. And it's to anyone out there listening who is doubtful, I can absolutely promise you that there's hardworking, motivated individuals all over, and I think there's an inordinate number in public service. I think if you particularly if it involves taking oath of service, you'll probably find yourself, back on a good team, trying to accomplish a good mission.
It kind of goes back to that, like whenever you sign that contract to go serve the people of the United States of America, that's hard to let go,
Yeah.
and so we do see a lot of the veteran community in those types of jobs, public service, volunteering, and because they're that serving the greater good is something that it's not always the best. It's not always in the best interest of everybody,
Yeah,
So
and every moment is the right moment to do it as well. There.
Now, hey JD, what would you say? Now, with AmeriCorps and then with the Peace Corps, did you meet other other veterans from either the United States or other countries that had joined and were volunteering also?
This current go around of AmeriCorps, yes, there's one Navy veteran on the City of Memphis AmeriCorps Vista program. There's at least one Navy veteran. In Peace Corps, I was the only veteran in the Gambia, but the gentleman who is in my village around 10 years before me was a veteran, an Army veteran, Desert Storm and Operation Iraqi Freedom, I believe, if I'm remembering that right. And my host mother, she had a story that she told me in Mandinka, so quite a bit of it didn't stick. But
she told you in Mandingo. What's that?
Yeah, the language of the Mende people.
I got you. Now you speak a little bit of that, don't you?
But yeah, she was originally from Guinea-Conakry and was a soldier. And if I heard right, her one of her instructors or her CO was or is the vice president of Guinea-Conakry. But she had a story about having to swim ammunition across the river, having to haul a boat full of ammo, with her just swimming it across.
That's like some Jack LaLanne stuff right there, man.
Yeah,
you remember Jack LaLanne? He tied like 500 boats to him and swam across some channel or something like that.
This is the guy in the jumpsuit and the ballet shoes, right?
Yeah, man, Jack LaLanne.
Okay,
he was
right.
Awesome, dude.
Just making sure. Yeah, he knew his stuff. I hope he made loads of money with that juicer. But yeah, the first go around AmeriCorps, no, I was the only veteran there as well. And I suspect veteran status may have what got me the job to begin with. As has been the case with just about every job I've had since the military. If you work in, you're a veteran, probably going to give you honest consideration.
Well, the thing is, you got into the environment where if you're not individually motivated, I still remember you telling me the stories from Gambia, and I hope you'll go in depth into those too. Here, you're out there alone, unafraid, man. You're doing your own, you're doing your mission out there. Having a veteran that sounds like, especially just getting out of college, just getting out of the military, taking some time to just kind of, ground yourself and figure out what's going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely don't think I could have done Peace Corps without the Army experience. I don't know, having that experience of getting the nerve to enlist and then getting through the BS of basic and then just having done the sheer number of processes, the little micro processes that being in the Army entails, I don't know, it's a real source of mental and emotional strength in the Peace Corps. Because being in the Peace Corps, it was very hard. Every day was difficult. And
Hey,
I even
hey, JD,
I even
break that down for us, man.
Yeah.
I don't think
what
you were the first person I'd ever met, and you're the only person that I've ever talked to face about that they were in the Peace Corps and their experiences. And like I told you, man, that it was amazing to me to hear, your stories, even your trip down to the beach, holding the goat, all that stuff. That was still, I mean, it's mind blowing because that stuff doesn't happen here. It happens. It happens in faraway places where the world is different. You know what I'm saying? That may sound
no,
strange, but it's very
no,
appealing
yeah.
to a lot of people.
I mean, I love talking about it too. So just kind of connected with the veteran a little bit. Every day, I had a backpack that I carried with me pretty much everywhere. And on the one of the handles, I had clipped a carabiner that I had from the Army days that I wore in my tac vest. And that was like a talisman that was always visible, always present, that I would kind of fiddle with or just kind of look at, kind of remind me that I can do this. But what made Peace Corps difficult is kind of often is usually what makes it awesome. Is so we all the people in my cohort, there were 30 some odd of us, we all met in Philadelphia at a hotel, had a couple days of, boom, 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 this is what you need to do, this is where you're going. And then from there, flew to Banjul, the Gambia, and it was, I don't remember how long it was. It was like 20 hours of travel, maybe. Probably less than that, I'm sure. But of getting to know new folks, which is fun, kind of having to put your nice face on and kind of keep it on longer than maybe you want. And then, and I definitely feel silly about this in retrospect, but we landed in like the smallest, rinkiest, dinkiest, tiniest airport that I had ever dared to imagine. And it's worth mentioning on my on my second visit to the airport when I was leaving to go on vacation, like I thought it was fantastic. I was like, oh my god, this is palatial. But anyway, we land and we walk off the stairs off the plane because there's no gate and it's hot and humid, like raining, hot rain. And I got like kind of nicest clothes on because I want to look professional in front of all these smart people from all over the country. It's loud and it's crowded and it's sweaty, and we're all trying to figure out where to go. And they eventually all get us on a van. It's all good. And spend a couple days in the capital area in the Peace Corps office, going through the various end processing stuff, which you can easily imagine.
What was easier, going on deployment or doing, deployment paperwork or
Deploying
Peace Corps?
to Peace Corps.
Yeah, Peace Corps deployment.
I mean, it's so hard to answer. I mean, Army is kind of easy because you can't really fuck it up. Like, people are kind of telling you where to go, and
I disagree with you.
you go stand here, idiot. Talk to this guy. He's going to sign this. He's going to poke you with this needle. Peace Corps is kind of, welcome to the Gambia. This is the Gambia.
Hey, is that what they call it? It's called the Gambia. It's not just Gambia. It's the Gambia.
No, yeah, it's the Gambia. I think until recently it was the Islamic Republic of the Gambia. But the country is named for the river. So like it comes from people saying I'm going to the Gambia, meaning I'm just going to the river. Right. But you kind of get like a broad. You kind of get like a broad idea of customs, and there's 6 languages that you're gonna have to learn one of them, but there's 6 of them. And then it's all well done, and the Gambian staff were fantastic, but it's incredibly overwhelming. And it's 2 years, and no one's going to tell you what to do with it. We actually got, the directive we got was welcome to the Gambia. I know you're a health volunteer. I know you're an agriculture volunteer. Or I know you're an education volunteer. But when you get placed in your village, when you get placed in your host family, and you get to know them, and you see an opportunity, whatever the opportunity is, if it's if it's ethical, if it's doable, by all means, give it a go. So like, obviously, I think the Army is much more dangerous, and the possibility of violent death or maiming is much more likely. But it's a year. Someone's going to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Unless you're in, say, your position, leadership position, which I wasn't.
People always told me what to do. It just gave me more discretion. Is all it was. Yeah.
It's okay. It's thinking. But yeah. So the Peace Corps is looking at the barrel into 2 years of a place you're already. And I was like constipated for like the first 3 days. Like I just couldn't shit. I was miserable.
Yeah, it sounds like me the first week at boot camp, man, at Paris Island.
Marines.
Dude, I'm not lying, man. I was so nervous, and I was so like off balance. You know what I'm saying? I'm coming from Kansas, man, and and I got people yelling at me, and I'm just like, man, this isn't football. What's going on? And I didn't know what was going on, and man, it just it seized me up. But I remember when it busted loose, and I was happy. After that, I was a good. After that, I was a good Marine, man. It was too easy. Well, I got to get that shit out.
First dude, huh?
Yeah.
It's like, and there's another like element worth mentioning. Boot camp or basic training is it's confusing and difficult and stressful because it's supposed to be. When you're in the Peace Corps, like everyone's super nice and like really trying to make it easy on you and really trying to help you out, but none of it seems to fucking work. And like a lot of it seems to backfire and just make things more miserable. And there's after that first couple of days, there's a couple months period of training where we're placed in a training family in a training village with a group of a couple of volunteers with a designated trainer, and he goes over the culture and the language and like how to eat and just anything and everything. And our trainer was a wonderful man named Bakari Daniel Dimba, who is actually a former member of the Gambian Parliament.
No, what is that?
The National Assembly. They're not called congressmen. I think they're just called representatives. And he was an amazing guy. He's real fun, real smart, very Western. The training period's pretty intense. It's kind of sun up to sundown if you got a good teacher. Then comes, after that, then you go back to the Capitol. Well, we went back to the Capitol and had our swearing ceremony at the ambassador's residence, where we took the oath of office, or took the oath of service, which, I don't know, it's emotional. If you can do that and not get emotional, I don't know, maybe you're a sociopath or something.
So you're talking about, the culmination of emotions, knowing that you're in the country, you're not going home, you're on the slate for 2 years. And it's just
there is that, but also, I kind of got emotional when I took the oath of service for AmeriCorps, and I was going to Tennessee.
Yeah.
But I think there is weight to the words. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. At the swearing ceremony, the weight, the metaphor looking down the barrel into 2 years, I think, just feels right to me. So I'm going to keep using it. But of course, the swearing party that day is the social event of Peace Corps of the Gambia. It's lots of revelry and hedonism and judgment and all kinds of stuff. But then after that, it's then the 2 years actually starts. From there, it's 2 years with a host family in a village. Getting to know the people, getting to know the place, figuring out what they, what can be done, if anything. What did the village request a volunteer to do? And that is, that is very varied. My village was possibly the westernmost posting on the North Shore. I was very close to the coast. I was very close to the North Bank Ferry Terminal.
Are you going to tell the story?
Which one? The goat story?
Are you going to? Are you moving in that direction? Because it sounded like you're at the beach again.
I mean, I don't think I should. That's
Why?
a little
I think you
inappropriate.
should. I mean,
Tell the story.
anytime there's a goat involved, it's probably an inappropriate story. So you should definitely tell it.
It might compromise my current employment.
I got you.
Fair enough.
But no, I no problem telling you. I don't necessarily want it on the record.
Leave out. Hey, do this here. Think about it and leave out and change it to something else.
All right. Yeah. All right. I got it.
And then we'll let the listeners
I'll circle
use
back
their
around
imagination.
To it.
Yeah.
I'll circle back around to it. Okay. But anyway, it was my village logistically was very, very easy. And my compound was on the edge of the village. Only 3 people, including myself, a host mother, her granddaughter, and myself. I was in a row house. I had my own little 2-room apartment with a back walled area for bathing, and I had a pit latrine also back there for squatting. And your days are completely up to you. You wake up with the rooster, and fucking whatever you do from there is your call.
Now, hey, JD, you were talking about, this was the thing that, I had no idea that it operated this way, that you have to actually go and like negotiate your meals, your lodging, and all that. I mean, you negotiate that of your, by yourself with the understanding that you have so much money to use to get by, right?
Yes and no. What you just described, that has certainly been true, I'm sure, for hundreds of volunteers since its founding. For the Gambia, for my case, the villages the village leadership requests a volunteer, and then they put forward 3 candidate compounds, 3 host families that meet certain standards and are vetted by the village leadership, are known quantities, good folks. And then Peace Corps comes and listens to the proposal, looks at the 3 candidates, and says, "All right, looks good. This compound meets all the criteria. We'll get the ball rolling." Now, that process happens, months before a volunteer even arrives at the country. But as far as meals, that's negotiated between the volunteer and the host. I mean, I ate lunch and dinner with them, and everything was fine. No problems. Sometimes the meals can be a contention, a sticking point, if the relationship between the volunteer and the host is rocky already. But there's a whole bunch of little, in the case of the game, there's a whole bunch of little instances of gift giving, quote unquote, where I did okay, so there's no friction between my family. But if a volunteer is maybe not fulfilling those little kind of unstated obligations, then it's probably going to manifest itself around the meals somehow, like not getting a lot of fish or getting kind of shitty cooked rice. Or
so we're looking at a like you were saying, a former Muslim minority or majority country where the thing is, within that culture, reciprocity is a big deal. You can easily turn into Hatfield and McCoy's If you don't do a little bit of reciprocity, it'll take things downhill quick.
And I would say it's like a founding principle, because so in the Gambia, there's no day-to-day like governmental presence of any sort. Like there's no police, there's no fire, there's no water department. The only governmental representative in my region would have been like the police department down the road in Alberta that was there to keep the locals from bothering the tourists, and the police department by the ferry terminal that was there to keep the ferry running. Other than that, like what keeps things from going Mad Max is reciprocity, generosity, greeting. That's like a big one there. Like stuff that like is kind of cultural or little or just kind of spice to us is like foundational bedrock principles that have kept things very copacetic there, frankly, with some exceptions.
My experience, JD, has been that when you first meet somebody, instead of them being like like how are you, how was the weather, they want to it's almost kind of like Hawaii. It's where they want to kind of embrace you. They want to let you know how great it is to see you and bestow blessings on you. And then once that is done, it's almost kind of like, yes, you are a friend, and then you start kind of getting into business.
Oh yeah, it's kind of one of the Gambian staff made the point of in America it's business then pleasure. Here it's pleasure then business.
Exactly. I love that.
Yeah, it's a definitely. It's kind of different, and a lot of people don't understand that. Like in different cultures, sometimes things are not the same, and if you're going to do anything internationally, it's good to kind of educate yourself to the culture and how they operate, so that you're successful.
Yeah, and there's, there really seems to be no bottom when you engage in that. When you look into another country's history or another culture's story, it's hard to find the bottom, from my point of view.
It's got great depth, is what you're saying. Yeah.
Yep.
What?
Water.
Yeah, stay hydrated.
Yeah, you got to make sure you drink that water.
Stay hydrated. Everybody out there that's listening, drink water now.
Drink water.
Force hydration.
I'm going to drink me some water, too.
I am, too. All right, so, JD, I hear that you got stung on the ass by a scorpion.
What was that?
What was that like? Yeah, so that's kind of one of the little things that one of the unique, charming, novel things you get to experience as a Peace Corps volunteer. There's really no story to it. I kind of threw it in there because I like getting to say I got stung on the ass by a scorpion because I'm the only person I know that can say that.
I don't know.
Another Peace Corps friend got stung on the toe by a scorpion, and but anyway, did you say you got stung in the ass by a scorpion?
No, I don't know anybody who's been stung in the ass by a scorpion. So.
I don't know anybody that would try to fight a scorpion with their ass.
I was minding my own business, smoking a cigarette in my vitrine area, and I felt a sharp pain shoot up through my buttocks, and I freaked out. I was really worried, and I called the medical officer, and she said, "Nah, don't worry about it. It's going to be a bit of a pain in the ass, but you'll get over it."
No pun intended.
Yeah, and she laughed her ass off. She was so pleased with that.
Nice call.
She could not have been happier with her joke. I gave her a sarcastic laugh. Just to, I don't know. She may have to save my life later on, but But yeah, I'll go and tell the goat story. Yeah, I think it'll be okay.
Yeah.
So it was it was still within the first couple months of being at Village, and it was, I mean, it was just a rough adjustment. Just I don't know, everything that could be different from my normal routine back in America was just, I don't know, it was just a little atomic bomb going off on my emotions. Just, I just could not get centered. It's just fucking pissed off all the time. So I decided one day to bike to Barra, and from my door to the beach at Barra is I think 25 kilometers. Most of it on a very, very, very bumpy gravel road, which just, I mean, it just did a number on my butt. Hurt a whole lot, but didn't really have anything else going on. Barra was the closest city. Like, I had like electricity and a market, a bar theoretically, the ferry terminal, which is quite big, a medical center. But anyway, so I bike over there. I keep on biking off through the town, and I go all the way to the beach. And at the beach is Fort Bullen, an old British fort, a bar slash restaurant slash tourist trap, which is kind of sometimes open. But a village. And I was just standing there, staring at the ocean, and this fella in dreadlocks comes walking by down the beach, and he's got a goat, or like a goat or a ram. I'm not really sure, but it's kind of big, and it's got big horns, and he's kind of leaning it on this little red string, and it's got a little Christmas bell around its neck, and
he's a festive
he comes
goat.
up. Gambians are very funny. Gambians are very friendly, and he comes up and he's like, "Hey man, what's going on?" And he's like, "I said nothing much, man. Just having a rough day. Came back, looking at the ocean." Blah blah blah. He's like, "Very good, man. You'd like to relax, man." I was like, "Yeah, what do you mean?" Anyway, we get to chat, and turns out he's a nice Rasta man, and he offers me some ganja, which I declined. But he starts talking about white tourists, and I'm like, "Hey man, I could go for a drink." Yeah. I haven't had a drink in like a month or so. He's like, "I get you money." He's like, he asked me if I had any money, and I was like, "Yeah, sure." I handed him $200 and he hands me his goat. He said, "All right, watch Jim for me." I was like, "Okay, man." And he just kind of walks off. Standing there leaning against my bike, holding this goat or ram Jim. And every once in a while, he'll kind of let out this really loud, kind of weird retch noise. Shut up, Jim. So I guess I'm probably there for half an hour, just chilling this goat, wondering if this guy's gonna come back with a bottle of booze or what. Eventually, half hour later, he comes biking back with a bottle of Diplomat gin, which he got from God knows where. And I put it in my backpack, gave him his goat back, and I got him biked back home, and I fucked up that night.
Dude, that still blows my mind that this guy would just give you his goat and just take off for a while.
I mean, at the time, I was like, "What is going on? What is happening?" But later, I learned that I gave him $200. A ram or goat of that size would be close to 8,000. So
holy
the motherfucker becomes, he's coming back with his goat.
Yeah, he's coming to get that.
But yeah, and like most Peace Corps volunteers from anywhere in the world have probably got goat stories for days. Like my boy Aaron was traveling during a Muslim holiday. I don't remember which one, but they asked him to bring back a ram. He's like, "All right, whatever." So he's traveling, and he goes to meet the guy, and the guy's like, okay, yeah, it's good, bro, it's good. And like Aaron just kind of, he's not worried about it. He's like, if it works out, it works out, whatever. He's standing by the van, waiting for it to fill up, and the goat man comes back with a ram and like a rice sack, and he's like, he tries to like hand him both things separately, and Aaron's like, what the fuck? What the fuck? I'm like, I don't understand. I don't know what you want, but whatever it is, I'm probably not going to do it. And so like the guy kind of like, whatever. And he like kind of calls one of the driver's assistants, and they put this ram in the goat's back with just the head sticking out, and they kind of draw the string around the goat's neck, and it's just kind of this ram in a rice sack. They first put it at Aaron's feet, and like, there you go, buddy, you're welcome. And Aaron's like, no, man, no, you're not done. And it kind of gives the impression they may or may not have been fucking with him a little bit. But they put the ram on the top, and it goes in with Aaron riding in a rice sack. Yeah, but I could go on.
Hey, so JD, you mentioned that you learned some Mandika down there. Can you speak any? So we can kind of hear what it sounds like.
There, Mandika kang bagale, bababake.
Baka.
Unko suo kono unkolole, iko muelevan.
And what's that?
Imalo, imbalo de mandung. I said hade is yes, very yes. So I asked you if you knew what you say when I said suo kono unkolule, which is a greeting which means where are the home people? The reply to that would be Ibeje, they are there. It was awesome getting to learn Mandinka, but I feel like I should say my Mandinka skills like never got great. Jokes and metaphors were always kind of lost on me, but it is a blast to get to.
Now, is this so? You're in this little little compound, has like a couple of buildings in it,
Mm-hmm.
So you're sitting with the host mother, and she talks a little bit of English, but she's teaching you this as you're going along. Is that right?
Oh no, she speaks no English. Any kind of like
time.
Yeah, any kind of instruction was going to come from Daniel during the first couple months, and we, they're always available if we want to call and ask them cultural language questions, but I never really did because I'm kind of lazy. But no, her name was Mariama Silla. She didn't speak any English. She spoke a million fucking languages, but none of them English. In order of her learning, I think it was Pular, which is her first language, Mandinka, Wolof, and French. And there was more. I know there's more. I just can't remember. It was like a couple, like two more small niche languages that whose names I've forgotten.
So,
go ahead.
So JD, how did you communicate with your host mother?
Very poor Mandinka and a whole lot of hand signals.
Hand signals?
A lot of arm waving.
Arm waving?
Yeah. So the kind of the breakdown of the day would get up, have breakfast, and then Mariama, she would usually go off to the field, go off to the bush, go off somewhere to do a little something, then come back, start cooking food, and then kind of, chill as she cooked, chat, kind of maybe wander off to her neighbors to, see what they're up to. Then lunch, and then after lunch, we would move out to outside of the compound, kind of under a cashew tree with some shade, and watch people walk by or watch vehicles go by.
That's
and
kind of like TV.
Yeah. And there was one time, and this was well into my service, and we kind of figured our communication out more or less. This car is driving towards Albreda, the tourist town, and it stops, and they roll down the window, and one of the neighbor ladies who's hanging out, she gets up and walks up to the window, and they chat. And I can't really hear or understand what's going on, but they drive off. And as the lady is walking back, everyone wants to know, like, oh, what's going on? Who was that? Where they going? Where they from? What's going on? One of them says, the lady who chatted, she says, okay, so they're Nigerian tourists. They're going to Albreda to check out Kunta Kinte's village. That's what Albreda is. They want to check out Kunta Kinte's village and the museum and the restaurant, and so on and so forth. And they kind of murmur about it a little bit. And Mariama looks at me, and with a company hand signal, she says, "Don't trust Nigerians. They'll kill you and eat you." And she kind of does like her thumb across her neck and like takes kind of a mind bite out of her arm. And then sorry. I'm sorry. It's kind of a hard story to kind of tell. But
oh no, you're doing a great job.
Thank you. But that's kind of Mariam and our daily routine, and kind of the kind of excitement one would find in Tuba Kolong. That's the name of my village, by the way. I haven't mentioned that yet. And you're up for another little anecdote?
I'm always up
Gambia?
for an anecdote.
Send it.
Tuba Kolong is the name of my village, and until recently, shortly before I arrived, it was called Tubab Kolong, which means white man's well, and the name comes from back in the 1600s. There was a white man who was having some issues with the locals. There was a dispute, perhaps involving some land or perhaps a lady, and so they threw him down a well.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that's where the name comes from.
It's conflict resolution right there.
Yeah. And like another kind of fun fact, the area I was in, that particular area of the Gambia, has had international interactions. Has been like a hub for international trade, politics, whatever, since 1492, for just as long as our own society. But I think that's kind of interesting as far as the cultural makeup of the place and folks there.
So you spent a month in, was it Senegal, avoiding political unrest? Can you tell us about that?
So that was December 2016. Yes, December 2016, the Gambia had their election, and the incumbent, Yahya Jammeh, was expected to win. He had been in power for 22 years, and everyone expected him to win the election because the election wasn't actually an election.
You mean to tell me that there's voter fraud? And
yeah, I mean, like, it was like, no, of course Jammeh is going to win. Like, this isn't a real election. But I guess we were wrong about it, and so people did turn up to the polls, and the day after Election Day, the morning after Election Day, they were reading off the results district by district, and it's taking a long damn time. It's just like every district, they would like kind of give this little disclaimer: these votes were counted, compiled, whatever, by the Election Commission of the Islamic State Republic of the Gambia. And then they would kind of read out the numbers for every single candidate. And after like at least 2 hours of this, they get to the final, the total tally, and like they read out the results, and they do it every single time. They do it in each language. They do it like in English, Mandinka, Wolof, blah blah blah. So they read off the results in English first, like the total results. And as I hear them say that Adam Abara, the challenger, has received this number of votes, and like they don't say it, but like in my head, I'm like, okay, that's more votes than Yahya Jammeh got.
Right.
So if I hadn't lost my mind, that means Yahya Jammeh lost the election and Adam Abara is the president-elect. That's assuming I haven't lost my mind or like haven't misheard something. And so I'm watching Mariama as they're kind of saying this stuff, and I'm watching her listen. And like she hears the same thing I heard, and like her eyeballs just like go up like saucers. She like kind of jumps out of her chair. She doesn't know what to say. She's looking back and forth, and like she goes, and she like runs out to the road and like starts screaming, and like other people are like running out to the road like, what's going on? Are you serious? Did you hear this? Did you hear this thing too? And like, you know, sure enough, like Adam Abara was the president-elect of Gambia, and then either that day or the next day, Yahya Jammeh conceded defeat. He's like, yeah, the people have spoken. I will see you later. But then, like a week after that, he changed his mind and decided he wanted to go nowhere.
I know, right?
Yeah, and then like that just like confused and kind of freaked out everybody. So, like the United Kingdom, they pulled all their non-essential personnel out of the country, as did the United States, and I'm sure a couple other countries that probably don't have a significant presence there. But the United States pulled all non-essential personnel out of the country, which just is like everybody that isn't the ambassador, the security, and I guess the embassy staff. Peace Corps volunteers, business people, got to go. So we and the terminology they were very particular about. It wasn't an evacuation; it was a consolidation. We were consolidated to Chess, Senegal, which is spelled Thies, but pronounced chess like the game. To Chess, Senegal, and it was like the poshest refugee situation that has ever been. It was very comfortable. We for the first 2 weeks we stayed at the Peace Corps training center. The Peace Corps training center there, which is a cool neighborhood, I guess, close to a bar and a shop. And then the second 2 weeks we spent at like a kind of like convention center. It's a massive compound. Had multi-purposes and like kind of like hotel rooms and huts. But it was very nice, but also like very stressful because those of us who had been there a year had developed relationships, had started projects, or just kind of settled in general, did not want to leave. And there's also, we had just got a new group of people who had spent like, I think a week in their sites before they got pulled. So they they had kind of a funky start to their service.
Talk about a crazy start.
It's kind of what's that now?
Talk about a crazy start.
Yeah.
It's like you get in there and it's like, hold on, we got a problem here.
Yeah. And it really, as far as like doing the work we came there to do and doing development projects, it was a big speed bump, but also that's kind of the reason we joined the Peace Corps, is kind of experience challenges such as this. But also there was the silver lining was that we were kind of cooped up together and achieved a level of camaraderie that you don't normally find across an entire Peace Corps post. Like you may find it in regional cliques, but rarely does a whole post kind of come together the way we kind of had to, being crammed in with each other.
Now, would you say that rivals the same kind of the brotherhood that you had with the people that you served in the military with?
I mean, yes and no. Yes, in that as far as like emotionally how it feels, like the comfort level is pretty much the same.
Mm-hmm.
But there is something kind of singular, novel about the mindset that you have to inhabit, that you have to take on when you're in the Army, particularly combat, or if you find yourself in combat. There is a mental state that is unique in that you have to not worry about dying. You have to not worry about it for yourself. You have to keep the people around you alive, because theoretically you're all doing it for each other. But, and that's like kind of an idea that's too big to even really kind of worry about at the time. And also there's something to be said for most of the folks I was in the Peace Corps with, we're all kind of like-minded. We all kind of have similar political, philosophic, religious opinions. I mean, we're pretty similar group as far as personalities go.
What do they say? Same.
What's that now?
Same.
Yeah. But with the Army, or just the military, it's not the same thing. You're going to get people with just. I'm going to go on a limb and say, like, you're going to get more individuals. But they're all individuals who have had to adopt this way of thinking, this outlook, this lifestyle, this way of being that is temporary, hopefully, where you don't worry about whether or not you're going to die, because you have to keep these other people alive.
Mm-hmm.
If you die, keeping them alive, that's okay. But yes and no. I mean, that's kind of my take on the comparison, and
Okay.
I've given a little bit of thought, a little bit.
JD, talking about volunteering and stuff, it kind of made me think, there's a lot of people out there that do volunteer, and at the same time, I think the hard part for people to grasp about volunteers is the fact that, like you said, we are a different society here in the West, where things have to be measurable, empirical.
Yeah.
But when you volunteer, your effort and your energy, that kind of stuff's not measurable. It's like, sweat doesn't weigh that much. You can't weigh the energy you expended. So with that, I guess what I'm trying to say is that there's no way to put a number to it, to quantify it, to give it a value. And it takes a different kind of person, man. And that's one of the reasons why it's, I'm glad that you're on the show, is that, people, embrace that, and it changes them. They see it for what it is, you know what I mean? And that's what keeps it turning. Keeps the volunteer cycle going, that people get a chance to see that. And I wanted you to come on here so that you could get that experience out there, and talk about how it's changed you.
Yeah. What? Man, it's a big question. Yeah. Oh man. I guess.
Break it off into pieces.
I would like to think that there is something that I've had since the beginning that is kind of singular and special and awesome, that is reliable, and it's been so since, like, before I was making memories, inherent to me. But also, I I mean, I would not have done, you know, kind of, I wouldn't have done what I've done the past 10 years if I didn't also think that it does build on itself, and that I do feel, you know, fulfilled, for lack of a better word, or it does give me a measure of peace. Um,
Exactly. I like that,
because
man.
because we can't measure, we really can't. I mean, you're right. It's you. I mean, once you kind of, I'll try to kind of get off a bit. Once you kind of figure out how to measure something, then the question becomes how to measure the value of the measurement, how to evaluate, you know, your system evaluation. And I think that's where volunteerism as a concept kind of fits. Uh, is if for any reason or for any intensity a person finds himself feeling like they should give more or do more or not have done enough, there are just infinite number and types of volunteer opportunities that allow a person, and I can speak to this, to kind of shut off for a little bit, forget about their own individual BS or own individual problems, and do something for someone else for nothing in return.
Right.
And I don't think it's the end all be all. It's not a silver bullet. It's not like, you know, I'm just going to volunteer for everything for the rest of my life, and when God's ready to take me, He'll take me. It's a bit simple for me. I have trouble swallowing that one, but also I have found in being in the volunteer world in one way or the other, whether it's like an officially mandated volunteer position that one has to take the oath of service for, or just something someone can show up for. It's all rewarding, and you know, it all serves a purpose, pretty much.
You know, the thing is, man, it's like, you know, you talked about Rich and Frank, you know, Staff Sergeant Dory and Lieutenant Walkup. You know, within the volunteer community, you know, firefighters, you know, of course, military, police, you know that you're not, you know, you're not casted into those jobs. You know, you make those choices. Those are professions that you get involved with for your own reasons. You know, and they're personal. It's not like you took a job because you needed the money. When you know, yeah, there are certain jobs within the military. You just you come in and you're just kind of drawing a paycheck. And the thing is, those jobs exist and they have to be filled. So it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but the big thing is, it's like, you know, you make those choices, man, and that is a personal. That's like the first test of, you know, of a person being a volunteer, is that they can assess what they've done, if what they're doing is, you know, is right, and if their effort and their energy is right. You know what I'm saying? If they're doing the right thing, if they're giving, you know, the environment exactly what it demands from them.
Yeah, and this may be individual only to me, but there is an element of achieving inner peace about it. To me, it's kind of a deal breaker. And if well, can you kind of take over for a little bit? Let me think a little bit.
Yeah, man. Too easy.
It's kind of the, you know, it's like, is it worth it? You know?
Yeah, you know, I think the whole thing with, you know, with volunteering, it is personal, and I think that's the, you know, if Dr. Heights came on here, he would definitely say that it's the difference between not being judgmental, which would be if you were in a volunteer service mindset, you would judge yourself before you would judge anybody else. And by the time you completed judging yourself, there would be nothing else to judge anyone else by. Because everyone else has their own effort, and they're judging themselves. And that's the kind of the thing where, you know, the measurement is internalized. You know, whatever effort you give. And once again, it kind of comes to that reciprocity thing. If somebody gives you
Yeah.
something, you're doing good things for them. It's kind of back and forth, and it's supposed to build on itself.
Yeah. I think also perhaps something to do with I don't feel confident that I can put out much good if I'm consumed with I don't know, if like my thoughts are consumed with questioning what I'm doing, where I'm at, and why I'm where I'm at doing what I'm doing.
Right.
Don't feel confident that would be much use. That's the kind of stuff I'm thinking about.
You just kind of don't think about it as much and just kind of jump into it and experience it.
Uh, Sometimes yes, sometimes no. At this point in my life, I really want to know what I'm doing and why I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that may be contradicting a little bit what I just said earlier, but as for me right now, because I'm definitely at a point in my life where I really need to build a career and start laying the foundation for financial security in my old age. Considering that, I definitely, if I'm going to take on something, a project or a position, I want to know everything. I want to know every angle, where the money's coming from, what they were thinking when they gave it, everything, what the fundraiser told him when he got the money. Like, I want to know everything. I want to know everything about what I'm being asked to do. That's just kind of me and my career right now.
I think that's the thing that some people don't get it, about, when you are taking in money, is it where it's coming from is important,
Mm-hmm.
because it's the philosophy of your organization. It can't be tainted by, something outside, of the.
And
That's a good practice to have also.
Yeah, absolutely.
oh yeah.
Well, it's like my mom said, you are the company you keep. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Say it on again.
You are the company you keep.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
And here's the thing, man. My mom was, she came to the island. She hung out with the platoon with Drudge and Radel and all those guys over there at Cumu Farms, and we were drinking beer, and she wasn't drinking. She was just watching us. And you know how we were.
Wow.
We were rowdy, man. It was my squad leaders and my team leaders after the Afghanistan deployment. And she sat there, just smiled for like 2 hours while we sat there and told war stories and drank beer. But at the end, she was like, I always used to worry about you, but if this is what you hang out with, everything's going to be okay. And I mean,
all right.
None truer words, man. And it's that band of people, man. It's the right people. It's good stuff.
And it gave your mom some peace also.
She needed it. She needed it.
They all do.
Yep.
That's wild, man.
So JD, what is the future, man? What are you doing? Are you going to be taking over? I know you're going to grad school, and once again,
Yep.
Congratulations, my friend. Well deserved, and you're going to explode. And I'm looking forward to reading some of your stuff when you start getting in there. I mean, where are you seeing yourself, man? Are you looking to be a director? Are you going to take over one of these and apply new principles, or what's the outlook?
I'm so unsure of that question that I started writing poetry recently. But for sure, grad school, that's been kind of in my crosshairs for a couple of years now, really. I've got an offer from Penn State, which is attractive on many, many levels. One, they're offering me money to go, which is it's awesome. But also they have it's an international affairs program, and they have a partnership with the institution in Dakar, Senegal, which would put me back in West Africa, which is tempting, mostly because it's fun, and it would be a chance to kind of build on, skills and knowledge that I have.
Mm-hmm.
possibly in a way that people will pay me to do. But as far as like the nuts and bolts of like what what job I want to do, man, I have no idea. I mean, if the economy is going well and people are feeling generous, I would love to stay in the nonprofit world, or being a Peace Corps staff member would be pretty dope as well. But I haven't made any phone calls. I haven't sent anyone any emails as of yet. I'm waiting to hear back from a couple other grad programs to see if they are offering me anything more attractive than what Penn State is. And if they are, I'll give them some consideration. But Pennsylvania is what it's looking like.
That's not Penn State's a good school, man. You got to think of like the academic success that they've had there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
At the grad school level. I mean, you don't care about the football team when you're going to grad school, man.
No,
you're going there for the knowledge.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not better than Oklahoma State. Sorry.
Yeah, not even close.
And,
we got the Gundy down here.
The big key with that is really their link to Senegal. If I were to I'm very confident of what the nature of the work would be if I were to go back in West Africa, and it would probably be developing best practices, whether it be policy, operating procedures, or teaching practices. My guess would be along that line. But I mean, that's just kind of a guess at this point. I haven't actually really looked into it as much as I should have.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. Just like the military, people retire, man. People quit. There's always those positions, man. Those good times to strike when the opportunity. So
I hope I recognize it when it happens.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, man. There might be somebody out there listening to this podcast. You get your way through grad school and they look you up. We'll definitely send your name if we hear of anybody that's got some good stuff going on.
That's one thing. That's one thing that we're all about is definitely embracing our community and empowering our veterans to go out and conquer the world and do good, man.
Absolutely.
Man, this is the most awesome I've felt in a while.
What's that?
This is the most awesome I've felt in a while.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
This is a neat experience, isn't it?
I'm gonna float out of here, I tell you.
Yeah, man. These, you know what? We did an interview the other day, and we basically just kind of talked about what the show is about. And the big thing is, it's kind of a trauma-informed storytelling format. The VA has a program for that too, but most of it's used for trauma. Some of it is sexual abuse, sexual assault, but the VA has a program also that basically uses the system of telling a story. It's two-sided. The person that's telling the story gets a chance to release a little bit of pressure, and then somebody else that's out there has that story resonates with them. And it's almost like, I always wanted to do this, but I just had to hear it this certain way. The way this sounded, it sounded perfect to me. And a lot of that, it's similarity to the person that's delivering it. And that's our goal, is for you to come on, other veterans to come on and, tell his or her story. And another veteran out there connect with it and get to the next level.
Yep.
And,
shared knowledge.
In that vein, if there's anyone listening who is less than inspired by me, then please keep listening, keep reading. There's amazing people all over the world. Please keep yourself open to them.
Now, Jay,
I actually have a professor that tells us to read books all the time. He's like, get ideas and then use them on people and see if they work. Most of the time, you get money after it.
So JD,
I dig it, man.
Hey, for we might have some young veterans that are getting out a year out, younger than you and I and Josh. Kind of give them the rundown, because we're we're college students now. You're getting ready to jump back into it. You know, what did college do for you? Um, you know, as you're looking back, you know, hey, I went and got my degree. You know, where are you standing now?
Yeah.
I know that grad school's like right there on the periphery. It's right there, but
Yeah.
you know, connect those so that a veteran to be like, I don't want to go back to school, but maybe now they can they can connect the dots that hey, this is the way to do it.
Yeah, yeah. And I haven't said much about it, but my college experience was as formidable as anything I've done. It was, in a nutshell, or the way I kind of look at it, even still, I went into it as lost and confused, as upset, disillusioned as I've ever been in my whole life. And through a whole lot of trial and error, through being completely captivated and obsessed with some subjects and just completely couldn't give a shit, completely different to some subjects, to others.
It's real.
And just kind of navigating it, not doing it perfectly, but doing it because frankly, I didn't really have anything else going on. This is the most logical option. After 4.5 years of that, I came out. I don't know. I had self-confidence, like had confidence in my self-confidence, which is which is something I never would have. I don't know. I would have scoffed at someone saying something goofy like that before college. But had a pretty good academic idea of the world and how it worked. So no, I mean, I wouldn't trade university or college for anything. I loved it. I was sad to go, and I don't mean to say that it was like a pleasure cruise. I mean, it's very difficult, confusing, challenging in its own right.
It's hard work.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I think one of the hardest things is especially being a veteran and coming into it. It's like all these ankle biters. You know what I mean?
We don't mean that in a mean way, though.
Yeah, it's these little classes that for me it's like I'm the oldest person in the class. I'm like this stuff hasn't changed since I was a kid. But I have to still sit through the class, and and that is that I never enjoyed it. Of course, now I don't have to do that because I'm all into just psych and philosophy courses. But that definitely is that raises red flags sometimes. Where especially when it's like you want to get through your business classes, you want to get out there, you want to start working, but it's like it's not. It's not like a prep school where they're only going to teach you math. They're only going to teach you English, and then send you out in the world. You have to be kind of well-rounded. I mean, hell, I came here. I had to take a foreign language. I got old brain, dude. I got old brain, so I picked German. You know what I'm saying?
I remember you were taking that.
Yeah. Good Lord. I did everything just to survive.
Well, and I think with college also is it's not just what you learn in the classroom. It's you kind of learn how to, like, especially for veterans, you kind of learn how to refine your communication skills.
That and apply what you learn to what you already know.
Exactly.
Synthesizing information, experiences.
So there's value in it.
Oh yeah.
There's so much value that it's not on the surface, to where it can be just immediately seen by someone who's like, well, I don't know about schools,
Yeah.
It's kind of hidden.
I'll tell any veteran out there that hasn't gone back to school, no matter what your age is, if you think it's like you can't take the time because you need to work, they pay you money. Treat it like a job. Treat it like a job. Get in there. Stay focused. Pound it out. And here's the thing: students and professors, unless you go to Berkeley or something like that, they're going to get their arms around you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're going to get that that support that you need. And of course, you get with your university's student veterans organization and tie in with them and really start running the benefit corridor. People like kind of bending over backwards for you, to help you out. It's good stuff.
Yeah,
Can't
someone
beat
will
it.
always help you.
Yep.
Yeah. You finding the people that who will work for you. In my case, I felt like I got lucky and I fell in with the non-traditional student group from the beginning, from the first registration event. At registration, I kind of found myself in a room, an auditorium full of 19-year-old kids, and kind of probably feeling same thing a lot of veterans do, just kind of out of place.
Hey, were you wearing a jean jacket with winger on the back? What's up? Because here's the thing, I see you rolling in there with wild hair and a beard and a winger coat, being like, I came here to party type attitude.
I probably had long hair and a beard, and I don't think I slept the night before because I was working second shift at Walmart or something. I was working a weird shift at Walmart, but yeah, I was just all out of sorts. But shortly before lunch or something like that, they said, "Oh yeah, and if you had a couple years between high school and college, go to this room in the student center." And I kind of, after walking around a few corners and a few wrong turns, I found this little room with 6 prospective students and 1 faculty, who her job was to deal with the non-traditional students, and she did an amazing job. Her name is Stephanie Mueller. She did an amazing job, and just made us feel right at home. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to take credit for everything. I've gotten lucky countless times, and that was one of them for me.
I got a quick question. I heard from a little birdie that says that you went to college for a girl.
Yes, somewhat. I immediately after discharging, I got a job at Walmart.
Discharging what? We're talking about girls, and you're talking about discharging?
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Sorry, am I getting the steps confused? But anyway.
All about context, man.
We're a little out of order here.
I was working as an unloader at Walmart from 4 p.m. to 1 a.m. It's kind of the low spot in the totem pole on the Walmart ecosystem. But there was a cashier who was, we're the same age, but she had a kid, and she was a college student, probably a non-traditional student in her own right. She's gorgeous. Short hair, big booty, beautiful. But we got along real well. We chatted. She seemed interested in me. We chatted, got along, and she would always be doing homework in the break room. I was like, "Oh shit! I got this job, build money. I should probably start college."
And what was this girl's name?
What's her name?
Yeah.
Her first name is Amy. I got her last name.
Well, hey, Amy, if you're listening, thank you for getting JD back on course.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess I've never thanked her. Thank you, Amy. I appreciate that.
Take her out for sushi, man.
Yeah. Send her a message. Y'all still talk?
But anyway, but in between me actually starting college and me, figuring out I should to get closer to Amy, she moved on and married another gentleman. But
her loss.
Yeah,
it happens.
No, I mean she's an amazing person. She deserves nothing but happiness, and yeah.
Hey JD. Hey, here's the thing, man. No, go ahead.
I'm full of stories that sound better than they actually are once I tell them.
It's not true.
Well, here's the other thing too. If people are missing, and they'll see it in the pictures. They're missing. You are a good storyteller. You're an amazing storyteller. But like you said, in person is where the magic's at. And we'll get you here sometime. We'll do a Facebook Live episode, and
yeah.
and we'll we'll really turn the heat up because it's a different.
You got to leave your axe at home though. Can't bring that.
Is it thick?
Well, JD, what else you got for us, brother? Before we just run in and just start. Anything else you want to touch on? I mean, like we said, man, this is your story. We don't push people into a place they want to talk or a place that they don't or they do. They just do it on their own. So, if you got more you want to talk about, we surely will. Yeah.
Sure. Well, I'll try to come up with some closing thoughts. It's a huge honor to be here on your podcast. My first podcast. I'm kind of nervous. It's a huge honor and privilege. But to anyone listening, just because I am on a podcast and just because Chris is an incredibly nice guy who invited me, I don't have everything figured out. Going through life for the first time, same as everyone else. And if I don't know, I try. Please, just I don't know. Keep on trucking. Keep listening. Keep reading. Life's wonderful, no matter what anyone tells you or what you may think. Sometimes good things happen.
Yeah, man.
With wise words.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Thanks. Not that.
No, hey, yeah, JD was he was a gunner on my truck, and during Iraq, and I did there was only one person that I would absolutely, the truck would not move unless the person was in it, and that was Lofgren. But my gunner got changed out like all the time. It seemed like I never had any control over who was going to be my gunner. And I mean that by if the gunner pissed me off or not. And I would fire the gunner and hire a new one. But it was always between like 2 or 3. And then sometimes I would show up in my truck and JD would be waiting there, all geared up. What are you doing? I'm your gunner today. Let's go. But we had But hey, you remember like we would you remember the wintertime, man, when we were sitting on those blocking positions off Clemson. And as soon as the temperature drops down to where, we're cold in a vehicle and, all of our kit, no one's planting IEDs, you know what I'm saying? And so, we're sitting there just talking over the VIC system with these just like amazing stories. And that's always been like that, like the good times for me, because no holiday was ever good in those places. You know what I'm saying? You're not conditioned for a holiday in an environment that could lead, depending on what your circumstances, lead to despair during those times. But for me, it was always the little times, like the little bits. Still like the story, and my thing is I don't want to mention someone's name that I haven't had contact with in a while, but we had like the first sergeant that we had, awesome man. A lot of people have their opinions about him, but I love Z. He's a good dude. Where remember the guy he stepped on the IED when they were dismounted? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but I can see him.
Yeah, man, the first sergeant. I mean, he was pissed. He was livid because when he stepped on that, the IED hit the first sergeant too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I went to first sergeant's room, and I was, after he had been, because he didn't get medevaced out, he got helped right there, and he stayed in country, stayed as the company first sergeant. Just amazing. Toughness, amazing toughness.
That's hardcore right there.
And well, the thing is, he's all hopped up on morphine and everything else, but he's still kind of like shuffling around the company area with shrapnel holes in his legs. And he's telling me this story, and he goes, "Yeah, next thing I know, my britches got blown off. It completely blew his pants off his body from this blast."
Holy shit.
Which the thing is, he wasn't very tall. He was just a little short guy. And every time I picture that, it makes me laugh, man, because it's just hilarious. And I can only, but the thing is, I can. IBA? Yeah, he's just standing there with no drawers on, just got blown off of him. And and the thing is, that's kind of in any other context, any other group of people, that would be like very morbid
and horrifying.
But the thing is, he survived. and you can look at the person and be like, their demeanor, their character, their sense of humor, they're going to roll with this. And sure enough, he took it in stride, and, we got back on course. So it was, it's little stuff like that, man, during the deployments that, that always got me. But, I always liked having you as a gunner. You've always been a knowledgeable person. And my thing is, I always gravitate towards knowledge. It's always kind of been my thing. So, yeah, like I said, man, our friendship, it's going places because you're getting smarter. You know what I'm saying?
Getting a little emotional, man. Oh, having to wipe away a tear right now, man.
What's that?
I'm having to wipe away a tear right now.
No, you'll be okay. You'll be okay.
I know that.
I do have. I would say I need to come up there, but you probably need to come down here again because this is actual free living down here and not that restricted type life.
Well, yeah, I'd love to host you in Memphis, but I won't be able to put you up. I live in a studio. More than welcome, but you'd have to find your own lodgings, I'm afraid.
I'll just pull out my bedroll, man. I'll be fine.
Right.
I got no problem.
But no, man, I really want to come back to Oklahoma, man. That was a blast. That was a great weekend, man.
It's always a good time here in Oklahoma.
Well, man, if you come down, we will do, like I said, we'll do a live episode up in here, and you'll get a chance to meet some of the veterans. If you come during the football season, we'll get you into the game, and you can sit down there with us. We didn't tailgate much this last year, but I'm pretty sure with the new
they're getting after it.
With our numbers getting up here at the university, we'll definitely be doing it much better than we have in the past. And that's just numbers, But do come in if you get a chance. And hey, I invite any veterans out there that are that can make the trip here to Oklahoma State. Come to a game, come do a show, come hang out with us. We'll take you around, we'll treat you good, and have a good time.
Absolutely.
If not, call in and we'll do it this way, and we'll share it. We'll share the experience that way.
But we'd like to see the whites of your eyes.
Definitely. Yeah, can't be it. Well, what's the plan for your weekend?
I've got a personal writing project. I've written out Star Wars fan fiction. I've got 5 legal pads full. I've got to type it up, and that is proving to be very slow going. But I've got that to fill my time, and that's what I should be working on.
Blue Dream, my friend. Blue Dream.
Don't I know it, man?
You'll rip through all those in over the weekend. Yeah. Well, hey, I'm excited. I'm excited to get to read some of that, man. I'm sure you'll send some over. That'll be good. It'll be good stuff.
Yeah, man. Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Send me a copy too. I like to read.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. All right.
And we'll post
I'll send it.
if you want.
Can't stop if you like it.
We could even post your stuff on our Facebook page. Give others a chance if you're confident.
Snippets.
Right. I'll see if I can find some that I think will stand up to some public scrutiny.
There you go, man. Send it, and we'll what we'll do. We'll put it on. We'll put it on the page and just show people what you got.
All right, will do. Appreciate that.
So, do you think we should get into the weekend safety brief?
I think we should, but let me do a little kind of a half-ass update on the safety brief. Apparently, in September 2018, the Army ended the weekend safety brief.
Really? In 18?
2018. I'm looking at an article here, September 17th, 2018, where the Army did away with the weekend safety brief. And the amount of comments where people are like, it's about time. And I get that kind of stuff. I like
that. They're fun to do, though. They
are fun to do. I'm telling you, there's nothing better than calling your platoon, calling your company to attention, turning it over to the PL, the company commander, and knowing that, one, they're squared away, and then when they take off on the weekend, it's part of you goes with them. You know what I mean? Are you
I
doing?
imagine like you're probably more confident they'll see him again on Monday if you like.
Or you'll be
tell
picking them
to,
up on Friday or Saturday.
Yeah.
I didn't. I'd never had to worry about that very much.
Oh, really?
It was like onesies and twosies, man, and it was when it happened. It was somebody you never expected, and I would be like, what? And then like well, especially with like with Sergeant Major Coleman, he'd be like, I want to see your team leader, your squad leader, your platoon sergeant, your first sergeant, your mother, your father, everything, and it was. But the safety brief, that was a chance for you to to link up one last time before you cut them loose. 3-day, 4-day weekend, 2-day weekend, and just put like, I wouldn't say the fear, but just like first sergeant is with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do the right thing.
Yeah, just do the right
Come,
thing.
come back because we need you more than you think. And no, and I'm not. And the thing is, I'm not talking about like police call and duty and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like, every time you lose a member, that's the link of the chain.
Yeah.
You bring somebody in, you got to temper that link, so it can still hold the weight of the team. So when you lose somebody, you're taking away, in the sense of the infantry, lethality. You got a machine gunner that's, that's shit hot. And he goes out and does something uncharacteristic of himself or something that, you have to go full Monty on because it's policy. You're losing, a solid member of the team, and that's the fighting force that's put together to survive. Tough.
It is tough.
I like the
Especially-
safety brief. We're going to keep doing it.
Yeah, we're going to keep doing it. I'm really, really sad that the Army did away with that.
I'm going to read more about it. Maybe it's a hoax. I read it on 4 different places,
I don't
though,
know.
so it sounds legit.
Hey,
Yeah,
you
I
know
read
what,
an
though?
Onion article once by
I talked
mistake and
to-
thought it was real.
I talked to a captain yesterday, and he just he's fresh out of the Army. We should ask him.
Yeah, let's get him in here.
I've already got him primed.
Nice. All right, JD, John
Yes, sir.
David Wheeler, what do you have for the safety brief?
Now, what is the safety brief? I know what the actual safety brief is. What is your safety brief?
No.
It's whatever, man.
What do you have?
Just whatever.
What do you
okay.
have to offer?
You only get to live once. Enjoy or not, whatever. That's so far.
Work on it. Work on it.
Come on, aren't you a writer?
I call myself one sometimes when I get really fucked up and no inhibition, but I'll work on it.
Work on it. We'll bring you on again.
Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna bring you on again.
Josh, what do you got, brother?
I'll have something better. I promise. Sorry.
I was perusing the interwebs and I found this one funny. If you're going to go AWOL, do us a favor and lay out all your TA-50 out in the barracks first. It makes it easier for us to count for it.
I like that. That's smart.
Yeah. Consider it.
Hey, I
There you
think I think Joko would have liked that back in the day. Would have liked that. All right. Well, what I got is don't sweat the petty stuff. Don't pet the sweaty stuff. If you go to the zoo, don't bang on the gorilla enclosure. If you do, don't wear sandals. Your run time will be diminished.
And don't climb in.
And don't climb in there.
I like it.
All right. Well, everybody, I'd like to thank everybody for listening. It's a lot of work that goes into the shows, but it's worth it. 100%. To bring these stories from from veterans, bring them to the masses. So those who care to listen, those who have a heart to listen, can hear those stories and kind of build and pass on, that spirit of the volunteer, the spirit of the volunteer. We never fault the heart of a volunteer. And JD, thank you for what you've done, my friend, in the past, what you're going to be doing in the future. And for your dedication. Without a doubt, I think that having you on my crew, as a vehicle, we only got hit by one IED. We found 13 of them, pre-det, and had EOD take care of them. A lot of those the gunners were catching that stuff.
It was all Lofgren, man. It was all Lofgren.
Lofgren, he got on it too. He stopped
yeah.
a couple of times. It made me feel pretty damn small in that seat looking, and I have no idea what I'm looking at, but he saw it. Yeah. But man, it takes everybody. It takes everybody, and I appreciate you, my brother. I appreciate you.
Pleasure's all mine, man. Thank you.
And JD, I'd like to thank you for coming on to our show, man. Listening to your story and just having the chance to be a part of it. It's awesome. I'm kind of in awe just the experiences that you took to go into the Peace Corps and continuing to serve. Man, that is selfless, man. And
selfless service.
I really appreciate that, man. Thank you.
And Josh, Mr. Fisher, the pleasure's all mine. You're doing good work every day, it sounds like. And I have a fancy title and talk too much. Man, it takes everybody to make a little turn, and God bless you for what you're doing.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks, brother. Hey, everybody out there, thanks again for listening to Heart of a Volunteer Veterans Podcast from your co-hosts Chris and Josh.
We appreciate your listening.
Thank you, folks.
Make sure that you hit the like button on our Facebook. Share.
Widest dissemination, please.
We want this to go to everybody, even if they're not in the military. We want them to, I think everybody can take from this what we put out.
Yep.
And we just want to keep this. We want to keep it building on itself and keep growing. And we want to collect all 3 million of those stories.
Yep.
And not just the 3 million. We want to talk to. I mean, if you served in the Korean War and you're able to come and talk, we want to talk about it.
Yep, we do.
It makes no difference. And I think there's no boundaries whenever it comes to talking about experiences. So,
none.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Everybody have a safe weekend, and catch us again next Friday when we bring you episode 007. We're going to try to knock that one out of the park, too.
Yes, sir.
All right, everybody be safe.
All right.